Welcome to day 16 of Pelling with Glen. Today's a right-hand day, so we're going to do our shots that we have. We've got 3 same-side chops, 2 cross-body chops, and we have got 1 same-side wrap that we're going to work through. We're going to use both foot positions, and we're going to do 10, 10, and 10, picking a high, medium, and low shot for each of these shots. So, as always, when you're doing this, make sure your feet are correct, which means your front foot pointing at your opponent, your right foot 90 to 45 degrees off from your opponent. When you're throwing the shot, make sure your hips and your shoulders are moving together in sync. That link in your kinematic chain should be locked. Also, make sure you're not pulling your hand back, you're not chambering. You don't want to pull your hand away from your target before you move towards your target. You want to start only with forward motion to your target. And last but not least, make sure you're making these shots your own. You may not need to use the full power stroke to throw a shot. You may be able to throw it and still get a clean audible pop with a stop or deflection from a much closer point. So if I'm showing you more power stroke than you need, that's fine. Go ahead and condense that down. All right, so go ahead and grab your sword. Let's go ahead and work through our shots. We're going to start with our frame chop. So sword leg back, pick my 3 targets, high, medium, low. We do 10 of each, and begin. Good. 10 medium, or 10 middle, depending what you want to call that. Good. 10 low. Maybe take a little tiny step closer. Good. Now it's important you're throwing these shots, you don't get fixated on that target and start moving your entire body motion or body positioning towards that target. If I'm throwing a low leg shot, I don't need to throw that shot here. Exposes my back, costs me my upright stance, which means I have to bring my whole body upright to get back to guard instead of bringing my arm back up. Also, that will cost me the ability to focus on what my opponent's doing. So I'm throwing that leg shot, should have my attention up. It's okay to watch the leg shot as you're working on getting better, but your eventual goal should be head up leg shots. All right? It's okay to watch it when you start. All right, let's go ahead and switch feet. Sword leg forward. 10 high, 10 middle, 10 low. Good. 10 middle. Good. 10 low. Good. All right, that's our frame chops. Let's go ahead and switch our feet back to sword leg back, and let's do our vertical chop. As always, if you've got a pel with multiple levels, definitely use those. My pel, as always, is a little bit too high, but we're still going to try and keep our hand up as high as possible to throw a shot. We'll throw it here. We'll throw it. All right, so 30 of these. If you've got different locations, break it up. If you don't, join me for 30. Good. Switch feet, sword leg forward. Next set of 30. Good. chops back to our sword leg backs configuration. We're going to work our punch chop. So as always, when you're throwing shots, it's important to have explosive power. You want to be like, you want to explode forward in that shot. As much initial explosive energy as you can to get that shot to be fast. So, that said, 10 high, 10 middle, 10 low. Sword leg back, begin. And a little tiny step closer to get that low shot. Great work. All right, let's go ahead and switch feet. Sword leg forward. And begin. And a little tiny step forward to get those lower shots. Good. Important note, some people may be getting wrong, and you don't want to be strangling your sword. You're not trying to throttle life out of it. Hands should be relaxed. One technique some people use, I don't, but some people do, and it's a perfectly valid technique, is they'll actually tighten their grip on their sword as they pull it forward, because that will start to bring that shot into motion using the fingers. Now, it does require a certain amount of hand strength, so that part may not work for you. But the important key aspect of that is a relaxed grip. You're not, grip. So relaxed grip when it hits. All right, so we've now done our jabs, we've done our vertical chops, and we've done our frame chops. Let's do cross body. Let's go to sword leg back again. And cross body, I'm going to go 10 high, 10 middle, 10 low again. And frame chops. And a little bit closer to that leg. Good. Switch feet, sword leg forward. Ten middle. And 10 low. Good. All right, if you're getting a little warmed up, you're out here like me in the summer heat, enjoying the humidity, then feel free to pause this video, get a quick drink of water, come back and join me. So, whether you just came back or whether you're staying with me, let's go ahead and work on our jab crossbody chops. Sword leg back to start, high, medium, low, 10 of each. And a little tiny bit closer for that bottom shot. Alright, good. Switch feet. A little bit of sweat in my glasses, don't like that. Switch the sword leg forward. And jab chop here. Now I have an ant on my glasses, which I like even less. And a little tiny step closer to get that leg. Good. So, quick note, notice I'm having to take that tiny step forward to get that lower leg. That's something that also translates through when you're fighting. If I'm fighting someone at range, and I'm just in range for my upper body, my legs are out of range. They will have to either bend dramatically, which will open up their back, or move forward, hit my legs. Something to always keep in mind is that legs are farther away than torsos. And when I can just hit a torso, I can't really hit a leg. So, we've now done all of our chops. Yesterday, we learned to wrap, and today, we're gonna do that wrap with our right hand. We're gonna throw 10 high, 10 medium, 10 low wraps. Now, if you're still working through the wrap mechanic, it's okay to just pick a medium shot, because the medium is gonna be the easiest, and just throw 30 wraps at that level. So, let's do our wraps. Remember how this wrap works? Our hand comes out, so the sword is completely parallel to the ground, right? 100% horizontal, not 100 degrees, 100%. We're gonna bring the sword forward, so we're about 45 off from our target, and then we're just gonna roll our hand over. When we do that, we're gonna make sure we keep the tip flat, because we don't wanna bobble the tip up, right? That'll bring it up into the guard and make it much easier for the block. So we wanna keep it flat as we rotate. As we do that, we're gonna wanna pull our hand that way in space, bam. Look what that does to my sword tip, right? Starts bringing it around, a little more snap in that tip, give me a nice clean shot, has that audible pop. Also, it gives me more angle, right? This doesn't have the angle to get around a shield. There's a shield coming out, not getting around it. As my hand comes out, I start getting around that shield. So, also as I get closer, I can get around that shield. And the shield's way over here. So, those are the key elements of our wrap, right? Our hand coming over in space, away from our target into the outside lane, further and further to get a deeper angle. And then getting closer to our target, because obviously, as we make that angle sharper, I get less and less range. Right? So I need to be closer with a steeper angle here, a sharper angle. Or if I want to be all mathy about it, a more acute angle. So, with that all said, let's go ahead and work through our right hand wrap. Since this is a new shot, I'm going to do 5 slow to the middle before I do my 30. So, come over, I drive off my back leg, I rotate, I get to about here, and then bring my hand over. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Feel like I've got that warmed up. If you need a few more slow ones, take a few more slow practices to make sure you've got the mechanic right. This isn't about doing them fast, it's about doing them correct. So if you need to work through this whole set of 30 slow and at speed, and not at speed, that's perfectly fine. Right? It's all about where you are in the learning curve. So, 10 high. Notice I've moved closer to my target than I was when I was throwing chops, right? I was not throwing chops from here, I was throwing chops from here. When I went to the wraps, came a little bit closer. I'm wrapping around, moving deeper in my target, and I've got now more angle on my sword. So, that was 10 middles, or 10 high, let's do 10 middle. Good. You may notice when I'm throwing this shot, right, when I do that hip initiation, that helps bring my hand over, because it's here, right? Almost a little loop in my sword, right? A little curve to get power, right, or to get speed, right? Again, it's not about power. I don't want to blast people, so I don't need to get as much power as I can, right? In that case, notice I pulled my hip back for extra power. We don't want to do that. We don't want the hip pulling back, and we certainly don't want to blast people. What we want to do is just get a nice audible pop, right? If you can hear it and it stops or reflects, you're done. So, let me do my 10 low wraps here. Basically wrap it to the back of the leg. Notice now when I'm throwing this, my shot is no longer running vertical to the ground, because I'm no longer throwing it at basically my hip height, right? Now it's coming at an angle, right? But I've still got everything, including my rotation, on that flat plane. Just now, instead of a horizontal plane, I've got an angled plane, because that's where my sword has to go to get behind your leg, right? So now this is the plane I'm knocking all the silverware off of, or all the china, right? Rotate. So. Good. One final note on this: when you're throwing it, that helps that idea of bringing that wrist around. A lot of people think about where their body is going to be in space when they're trying to figure out these shots. My elbow is coming up. Right? I come here, I pick my elbow up, and that rotates my arm. Right? Notice my elbow's here, elbow down, elbow pit up, and then I rotate, and my elbow comes now to pointing out there. I pitch my elbow up. Right? There's this rotation. Right? I can't rotate my hand from here to here without my elbow coming up. Right? And I don't want to. I don't want my wrist to be doing all the work. Wrists are a weaker joint. Right? I'd much rather use my shoulders and pick my elbow up. So here, I rotate my wrist, and that brings my elbow up. So you can think of it as you get to here, and then rotate to your elbows up. Bam. Bam. Right? And that gets that wrist rotation. So two different ways to think about that terminal motion. I get to here, and I rotate my wrist, which conveniently brings my elbow up, because that's the way bodies work. Or I get to here, and I bring my elbow up, and that rotates my wrist. Bam. All right, we're not done yet. Go ahead and switch feet. Do sword leg forward, right hand. I'm going to do high, medium, low again. And good. 10 mediums. And then a little bit closer, do 10 low. Good. All right, so that is our 30 shots with the wraps. You've done great work. So I do want to mention, because someone else asked me this, if you want to throw a wrap for the shoulder, it's the same shot, but now instead of that angle down here, I'm going to throw an angle down here. So if I want to throw a wrap over a shield, I'm now going to be coming in this plane, right? So I'm going to push off that back leg, I'm going to come in this plane, and then I'm going to rotate my hand. And I'm going to have a little bit more rotation now, right? And bring my shoulder up. So, okay. So what that looks like is I'm here, I throw, I rotate, hand up, and hit with the back of the blade. So at speed. It's very important that when you're doing that, you're not snapping your wrist in some way at the end. I've seen some people do that. I don't do that, so I'm not going to be able to replicate that. It's not something I've learned to do, because you don't want to learn to do it. Right? So think about using that shoulder muscle, right? That middle delt. Lift your arm up, put that snap in the end. Right? Now we're not pulling back. I'm not pulling my shoulder back. I'm lifting my arm up to put that snap in. There we go. So that wraps up our Pelling for today. Great work. You've completed 16 days now. And we'll see you tomorrow for day 17 and left hand practice.